Hey, how's it going? I'm Chris with PearsonCopy.com, and I'm here to help your brand make more sales with email. Today, I've got a fun email for you as a part of my 100 emails in 100-day email breakdown challenge. I'm going to be going over this email from Underground Cellar. They are a wine deal company, so they're basically doing daily deals with wine, bottles of different types of wine, different flavors, different vintages, different everything you can think of. That's basically what they sell. So something unique about this brand is that this is the first of the few dozen emails list that I've signed up for that actually uses plain text. So this is an email and a brand I'm really excited to break down because this is the type of email that I would advise and suggest that the clients I work with that they do emails like this, at least for the first couple or at least throughout their welcome series, to throw in these personal from somebody specifically letters that essentially try to make an emotional connection with the reader as opposed to flashing a digital billboard in somebody's inbox that every other brand on the planet does right now for one reason or another. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into these emails. Dive into this email and break it down line by line. This one might be a little longer because it is plain text, but there are a lot of pieces in here that I think could help you with your brand make more sales with email, especially if you're going to dive into a plain text version of your welcome email. So let's go ahead and dive in. Initial subject line here, access granted. So the way that Underground Seller actually has you sign up talks a lot about access and getting access to their special deals and their email list, various things. So access granted makes sense when it comes to the welcome email. This is something that I would probably test if I was going to dive in to help them with this. Is access granted makes sense because somebody just signed up, but what about somebody that hasn't come back to the email after a couple of days or even a week, even though they signed up for it? Does access granted actually make sense to get them to open this email? They are probably testing other types of subject lines, but I would go through this and just find something like maybe, hey, two gifts for you, or $29 for $1,000 win, or something like that. It doesn't have to be like gimmicky or anything like that, but maybe find some other emotional hook here besides access granted that could get people to open this if they take longer than maybe a couple days to dive into this email. Otherwise, I think this makes sense. It fits the sign up form, the sign up process, and I'd imagine they're testing this, so it's probably working great for them. Next thing is the from name and the from email. So Underground Seller does exactly what I would suggest brands do is make this first email, or at least some of the emails in the welcome series, come from an actual person. This is great. They say Jeff at Underground Seller. Jeff or Jeffrey, I believe, is one of the founders of the company. He runs a team there at Underground Seller, or is part of running teams there. So that's great. It's coming from Jeff. That looks personal. When I found this email in my inbox, I was like, "Hey, this is an email from Jeff, not from Underground Seller, the brand." I'm excited to read this because it already got me excited because it's from an actual person, not from a brand, and that got me super pumped to open it and just see kind of what Jeff had for me. The from email is the hello at Underground Seller. This makes sense. I mean, hello at Underground is pretty standard. Use a hello, support, etc. Hello is definitely better than support or customer support or don't reply or no reply. I would maybe test with Jeff sending from a Jeff at undergroundseller.com, see if that gets more opens or just helps with deliverability because it's actually from a real person. So there's that. Otherwise, I think this is great. They can test through that if they need to, but this is a great start when it comes to this email showing up in the inbox and looking like it's from an actual person. The next piece here, if we look down a little bit, Underground does use a brand logo and a brand name here at the top of the email. It's small, it's simple, it's clean, it's really fast, and it's a great reminder of like, hey, this is Underground Seller. This is what you signed up for. This is the brand you're actually looking at right now. And they get out of the way. They don't do a whole lot of complication here. They just show the brand and get right into it. The letter starts off with "Hey Chris," which is me. Hey Chris, so you discovered Underground Seller early today, probably without much of an idea of what you were even signing up for. So the reason I like this line is, one, it acknowledges, because when I signed up for Underground Seller, I kind of understood it's like, okay, it's a wine deal, it's a wine store, they sell wine products, they do maybe a wine subscription. I wasn't really sure kind of what they did because they do so many different things with wine, and so acknowledging that's almost an objection or a barrier to entry when it comes to actually opening emails and reading them. And Jeff and Underground Seller addresses that immediately in the first line. It's like, hey, you discovered us, and you're probably not sure what you signed up for, but we're about to tell you why. And literally the next line is, well, in our eyes, that makes you awesome. So sign up for something you're not sure for, but it looks interesting. That could be a part of their ideal customer, is somebody who's willing to explore and discover and try new things. They're calling that out right here with this line. The third line here, or sorry, the fourth or fifth line here, but the third paragraph essentially is, you're probably wondering what makes us awesome too. Now, this is a great move. We're calling you awesome. We're complimenting you. We're flattering you. We're saying, hey, great. Thank you for being explorer, discoverer type. You're probably wondering what makes us awesome too. And that is teasing the idea of addressing the initial objection of you're not really sure why you signed up, but we're going to tell you this is how we're awesome. They open a loop here because they don't immediately answer it. What they do is they say, well, in honor of you having just discovered us, again, calling out the discovery exploration type of ideal customer, we're giving you 2 free gifts. So not only are they opening a loop with, here's what makes us awesome, but before we get to that, we want to give you something just to reward you for actually taking the action that we want you to take. I'd imagine that their ideal customer is an exploratory discovery type. They'd like to try new things. They like the novel things. They like trying new wine, and they're trying to call that out in this email with the words they're using and the way they're positioning this. So they open a loop here. Open loops are great because what they do is they put a hook in the reader's mind and say, hey, there's a curiosity piece here. There's a piece of information that's missing, and there's an answer to a question that has just been put in your head, and we haven't answered it yet in the copy or the writing. And if you stick around and keep reading, we'll give you that answer. This is called an open loop or a curiosity hook. This pulls the reader down the page because they want to find out what that piece of information is. Underground Cellar saying, hey, we're awesome and this is what makes us awesome. People want to know what that is because of that curiosity hook mechanism. So with that being said, they open that loop and they say, oh, before we do that, we're going to honor you discovering us. Here's 2 free gifts. This is a great way to give a dopamine and a serotonin hit. Is like, hey, we're awesome. And we want to tell you, but before we do that, we want to celebrate you first. We want to talk about you first. We want to give you something first. They're focusing on the reader and the new subscriber, which is a fantastic way to get people to keep reading your email because they feel good about it. It's like, oh, I get 2. I just signed up for a free email and I'm already getting free stuff. This is freaking awesome. And so this is Underground Cellar way of giving dopamine and serotonin hits when it comes to readers. And so they say, we're going to honor you with these gifts. Imagine walking into your favorite wine shop with $29 and walking out with a rare $1,000 Scarecrow Cabernet, one of Napa's most coveted cult cabs. So here they're using some imagination. They're using some imagery when it says, imagine walking into your favorite wine shop. So that's if somebody is a frequents wine shop, so they have certain wines or they have a certain shop they go to, they can picture themselves walking into that shop with $29 and say, okay, cool, I just walked in, now what? And say they walked out with this rare most coveted cult cabs. They can imagine themselves doing that. They might even stop reading here and just kind of sit back and go, oh yeah, that would be really cool. And that's what we're trying to do is we're trying to create that connection to Underground Cellar is trying to create a connection to the reader or the customer's actual life when it comes to them buying wine at their favorite shop. I think they do a great job here. There might be some opportunity here. There's a lot of open and closed loops in this email, which we'll get to later. But imagine walking to your favorite wine shop with $29 and walking out with a $1,000 Scarecrow Cabernet, one of Napa's most coveted cult cabs. There's a story here. There's a story that we can pull out of this. I think there's some conflict there. There's something we could do, maybe a couple more lines to add in and just get people into that mode of like, I'm about to walk in with $29 that I didn't have at first, and then walking out with $1,000 wine. Like that could be a story that maybe they address later in the welcome flow, but there might be something more here to test when it comes to getting people into that zone or into that shop that they usually go to. And then Underground Cellar, they add a little personality. That's how we roll at Underground Cellar, using some conversational language. So let's start things off right. Here are the 2 things we're giving you right now. So they still have that open loop of like why they're awesome. They haven't told you directly why they're awesome, but they're making their case by giving these 2 free things, right? But the actual them telling you on the nose why they're awesome is later in the email. But they're making you feel good for being here because they're saying, hey, here are the 2 things we're going to give you, and that's where this section goes in. So the first thing. 5 branded items of company swag that are free and actually useful, like a luxury wine bottle opener, bottle air pump, foil cutter, and more, plus a chance to actually score the $1,000 Scarecrow Cabernet. So they're giving away products, and there's a concept or an approach that if you can get physical products in somebody's house and they're using them, it's almost like free marketing and free branding because they're using those products and they're constantly looking at your brand. This is a similar concept to like if you sell a book or books as like a front end funnel or something. If you get somebody to buy your book and it's on their shelf all the time, they keep seeing it day after day when they walk past it, which means I call it the Coke effect, right? The Coca-Cola effect. When it's like there's just big billboards of Coca-Cola everywhere. So like when you think of soda, you think of that because that's the constant reminder of the type of soda that's on billboards. Like it's just you can't miss it, right? So getting physical products into the hands of people and them feeling good about using it and your brand's being attached to that, that's a good thing. That's a great thing. It's a way to have people connect to you emotionally as they experience life with your products in their life. So yeah, a little bit of deep dive there. And then obviously the original, or not the original, but the $29 for 1,000, basically a giveaway that they're trying to do here. They're trying to get you into a giveaway, or you've already been entered, and this is the reward for being the type of ideal customer that goes and looks for things and explores things and discovers things on their own, and they're just curious, so they sign up and try it and see what happens instead of waiting and not doing it. So there's that. And then the objection to this, right? There's an objection here of like, we're giving you two free things right now. The initial objection is like, okay, I don't even know you. You don't know me. Why you're already giving me stuff? I haven't paid you any money. This could be a hurdle, an objection, some friction on people actually taking advantage of this offer. And this is how Underground responds to that. Is like, here's the objection. Why are we giving this to you? We don't even know you. Their response is, hey, we're really nice. See? And it's a question like, see, look at us. And it's a picture of them. It's a bummer the PDF cut this off, but it's a picture of the Underground Cellar team with some picture frames. And I think they say they're in a, let's see here. This is Jeffrey and his team in a wine tasting in Napa. So they had more personality here. They're like, hey, we're real people, we're a real team, and we want you to see who we are as wine connoisseurs or just wine experts, right? And so they take a pretty moderate to serious objection of like, why are you giving free stuff to strangers, and turn it into a personal response or a personal connection of like, yeah, because we're cool people and we're like you. We like to make friends and we like to discover things on the go. So that being said, moving on. This is Jeffrey and his team in Napa. It's a great picture. If you guys have a chance, sign up to Underground Cellar's email list to get this. If you guys are into wine, I think this is a really great email so far. Let's see here. From all of us, welcome to our community. So this is the first mention of them actually saying, hey, welcome to our community, which is pretty crazy, because most emails start with, hey, welcome to the team, welcome to the community. They all start that right up front, and they talk about themselves. What Underground Cellar does is they start and say, hey, first objection or hurdle, you signed up for this. You're not really sure what you signed up for. A lot of people say that essentially, but here's why. Here's why you're here. Before we say that, we want to give you some free stuff, and it's all about the reader. They start with the reader at the top, and they move into their team once the reader feels good about being here. So it's almost like if you meet somebody new, it's like, hey, what's your name? What do you do for a living? Hey, what's something that lights you up? Like, what do you like experiencing in life? Like, what do you do for fun? You're always asking questions, and this is essentially what this email does. Is like, hey, we're acknowledging you as being an awesome discovery type person. We want to give you some free stuff. Who are you? If you like this stuff, you'll sign up, and you're our type of people. And it gets them into feeling good for engaging with this brand, as opposed to having to listen to a brand drone on about their mission and their corporate jargon and all that stuff about them, instead of just saying, hey, you're the customer, you're the focus here. We want to make you happy and feel good for being around us. And so, yeah, literally halfway through the email, maybe a little about halfway, they say, hey, welcome to our community. And so now it's official. That's some conversational language, right? You're a founding member. Now, the founding member piece, I think, is interesting because it doesn't really explain why you're a founding member, but they just mention that and say, hey, that's pretty awesome, right? And so you're like, oh, founding member, what does that mean? One, I'm not really sure why I'm here, and you haven't told me why yet. Two, you're giving me free gifts, and now you're calling me a founding member. What does that mean? Like, what? I don't know what that means. Like, you're just giving me all this stuff, and it feels good to be here, but I don't know why yet. And this is where Underground Cellar closes that loop at the beginning of like why they're awesome. Like, hey, you're awesome for doing what you did and signed up, not even really knowing what you signed up for. Here's why we're awesome, and we're going to share that with you now. So the first half of the email is about the customer. The second half is about them. So there's a reciprocation here, right? Cialdini in his book Influence talks about reciprocity as a main influence, right? A main influence trigger or a pull for people. And so Underground Cellar, I think, is using this first half to talk about the customer and say, hey, they flip the script and say, hey, now reciprocate and let us talk about ourselves and tell you why you're here and why we're awesome and why you should stick around. And Underground Cellar does this. So the first reason why the customer is going to want to be here, they're a daily deal website for wine. Nothing you're used to. You can buy bottles. Over half the bottles will get upgraded. And they get upgraded to rare bottles, rare vintages, gigantic bottles of 9-liter Salamans are. I hope I said that right. Autograph bottles, and even more. And so those are all free upgrades. They don't charge for that. So if they feel like they can upgrade your stuff, they do it, and they just send it with the original pricing regular structure. So that's number one. It's like you get a bunch of added value just for being a part of the team. And this is what being a founding member. This is one of the reasons why you should stick around. They have 3 reasons. So the second reason is we're more than just a website to score exclusive access to premium wines. They're doing awesome, crazy stuff like giving away free VIP trips to Napa and bringing you inside the scoop on the wine world. So they're your source to the wine world, and they're trying to get you into Napa and other places to basically engage you with the wine world and just be a part of it, right? And be that exclusive source and that exclusive founding member of the Underground Cellar. And then the final third reason You get free wine storage up to 500 bottles in your personal cellar at our temperature-controlled Napa Valley warehouse called Cloud Cellar. When you're ready to ship, you can mix and match bottles and ship them on demand at any time. Oh yeah, with free shipping every time you ship a case. So not only do they offer free wine deals, they want to give you trips to Napa and other places to enjoy wine, but they also have a cellar that you can store your wine in. So that's part of being a founding member is you have this exclusive, only a founding member access to these deals. And that's why they're awesome, and that's why you should stick around. And again, they close that loop. They directly call it on the nose. How's that for awesome? So they know what they're doing here. The copy, whoever wrote this copy, did a fantastic job, and they're closing that why they're awesome loop, right? That open loop that was at the beginning, the curiosity hook. They close that here, and then they move into the CTAs. So they talk about why you're here, or not why you're here, but like your objection essentially of like why you're here, the two things they want to give you. You're a founding member, here's what that means, here's why we're awesome. And there's closing loops now. We're in the bottom third of the email. They're starting to close loops and ask for things, which is the CTAs. And in this email they have two CTAs. They have snag your free 5-item wine kit by simply buying from any today's outrageous wine deals selling out now. And then their second one is score the $1,000 Scarecrow Cabernet in today's red wine deal for just $29, or another amazing red wine curated by our wine experts. So they have two CTAs here, but because of how they positioned and wrote this email, those two CTAs don't feel overwhelming. They make complete sense, and I'm most likely, as a customer or a new reader, a new person to Underground Cellar, going to click on at least one of them, if not both. And then with that being said, moving on with that, my dear wino friends, I didn't put a comment here, but my dear wino friends, very conversational, winos, luscious, people that like wine, that drink, just conversational, friendly language here. It doesn't sound like jargon. It sounds like the language you'd use if you're talking to somebody else who's drinking wine with you. Have a great rest of your day and see you soon in the underground. And then they have a signature from Jeff, the founder, and the website URL. I think this is great because it just closes that bookend of this being a personal letter from Jeff. It doesn't feel like a branded email. It feels like it's just from Jeff, and he's just sharing some of the reasons why you should stick around with his email. And it actually makes a personal connection because it's like Jeff actually sent me an email, and I actually get to connect with him if I do reply. It's going to Jeff, and he's gonna reply back to me. It's an actual real person. It feels like a relationship's starting, and there's trust being built because of this. When you send out digital billboards and you send out just like, here's a product, here's an image, here's a CTA button, there's no real connection made. It's more transactional instead of transformational or even relationship building. And that's the point with a huge opportunity in e-com is when you start with trying to build a relationship with somebody with these emails, even though you have products to sell, you're going to sell more on the back end, and your lifetime value of the customer goes up because there's a relationship, there's trust. It's all there on the back of the relationship as opposed to the back of the transaction. And that's why I really, really like these plain text emails. I really think Jeff and the team and whoever wrote this did a great job. Final few pieces here. PS number one, I'd like to do one thing for me. Reply to this email and tell me what your favorite wine is. So replies to emails actually help with deliverability. So if you can get some replies from people, typically not a lot of people do reply, but those that do actually helps your deliverability and shows your email provider and your sender that you're actual legit and you're getting replies and you're engaging with people and they want you in their inbox. That helps your score and helps your delivery. And so that's why one of the reasons I can see why they say reply. Also, the other one is if people are going to reply back with their favorite wines, guess what? You can add a property tag or tag that person who replies and say, hey, they like reds, they like whites, they like this, they like that. And you can actually send promos now based on those tags. So if Jeff and the team have something in the background tagging those people as they reply, you can actually target deals to them based on what they like and what they told you, which is fantastic. The more specific you can get with your products and what you're selling, the more likely somebody's going to buy because they've already told you what they like and don't like. So there's that. The second PS here, if you have any questions, just reply to the email and I'd be happy to help. Again, deliverability, if somebody replies, it helps with deliverability and getting back in the inbox for other emails. And then finally, the last, I call this an objection, but like if people aren't into Cabernet, because a $1,000 Scarecrow Cabernet is one of the offers in this of like, hey, spend $29 and get in or do a $1,000 Cabernet win. If they don't like Cabernet, Jeff here offers say they just launched, he says that they just launched a sparkling wine champagne deal today too. So just $33 can get you a bottle of Dom Perignon or Cristal. This one will sell quickly, so see if there's any bottles left by clicking here. So if you're not in Cabernet, but you're like, man, that's a cool deal, I want to be a part of this, he gives you an option to go buy here as well. So that's 3 different CTAs in this email. But here's the thing, because it's a personal letter, it's from Jeff, and he explains and ties all the front end of this email together really well. All of these CTAs make sense. And most likely, even if I'm into the Cabernet, I'm going to go click on for this champagne deal as well and just see what it is. $33 for these types of champagnes. If they're still left and I like these, I'm probably going to go buy. So, less than $100, I'm getting all this plus all the free stuff. Like, of course I'm going to go buy. This is a deal that if somebody's into wine and they just found Underground Cellar, like, why would I not spend money on this, right? So, with that being said, the last few pieces, he's got his social icons down here. I would test just removing these entirely from the first one. I don't want to distract from these CTAs up here. And do social later. It seems like with this picture, his team's pretty social. Seems like they're pretty friendly. I'd imagine their social presence is pretty great if they have one. And I would do a separate email of like, hey, this is what we do on social, and this is how you can engage with us. If you're not, this is how you engage with us on social and be a part of the community, be a part of being a founding member, right? So that's something I would maybe test here at the bottom. I don't mind them here. They're not really, evasive, and they're not like, hey, click on social. It's just, hey, if they're here, if you want them. But I would maybe take those out and just see what it does. And then finally, you have your standard footer information. So yeah, a few more thoughts here before I shut this video down and we close up this breakdown. Two things really. One, this is an example of an email that actually feels like it's from a real person. This is the type of relationship building you want to do with your welcome flow, because like think about this, and this is the second thing. Jeff is selling this email, and he's not using product, but he's not using product images. He's using an image of his team. He's connecting emotionally. He's trying to be a real person to people who sign up, and that's what gets you to click on this. Is like, Jeff's a real guy. He's offering you these deals. He's giving you some free stuff. He's trying to do his best to like, hey, if you're into wine and you're here for Underground Cellar, here's why you're here. Here's what you can do to get the stuff you want to get. You're already going to buy it. Check out our stuff and buy from us. It's the first email number one, and he's already selling. But because this email is from him and it feels like it's from a real person, and he speaks to you as a customer, the first half of the email is all about the reader and the customer and why they're on the list and what he's offering them and giving them stuff. He can come down here and say, hey, I'm going to ask you to go buy stuff. This is how our emails go. He's asking for reciprocation of, hey, I want to talk about you. Now let's talk about me. That's how relationships go. That's how conversations go. And that's one of the big mechanisms here of why I think this email's most likely working. I don't have the stats, but I'd imagine it's working really well because of that. Is he starts with the customer, then he goes to himself and his brand and his team, and then he talks about the CTA. That reciprocation is the key mechanism here. So with that being said, this is the breakdown for Underground Cellar. Again, I'd encourage you, if you're into wine and into daily deals like that, go sign up for their email list. You will get this email, some version of it probably, unless they change it. But yeah, that's the breakdown. I hope this helps your brand out. I hope you found some insights. Take this back to your brand and see if you can use some of the stuff I've showed here to make more sales with email. If not, I will see you around on the channel. Thanks.